Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Subramaniam Maslamani. I am a Tamil. And today, my topic is sanctions against Sri Lanka. How can ordinary Tamils participate? Let me say something to my people before I start the topic. Our freedom is already here on a gold platter and served with a smile. But we Tamils do not have the courage to take it. I'll tell you something. Take it today, right now. You either have freedom or death. I am free and alive today because I chose to be free. I have taken mine. Have you taken yours? Take your dose of freedom today. It is a one-time medication for all your struggle in life. That was saying by me, Subramaniam Maslamani. 60 years and 2 generations ago, a madman called SWRD Bandaranaike turned the minds of the people of the nation of Sri Lanka in a wrong direction. And today it has become a land of raw nature. It took thousands of years to turn this raw nature with roaming animals into a civilized and organized society. But in 60 years, it has returned to nature. Society as we live today is too intelligent and too sophisticated for ordinary people to live in it. Is society that frail and fragile to fragment so fast and so quickly? Today in Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka has gone back to nature, but with lethal weapons in their hands. It was Tamils at first, it will be Muslims next, then the opposition parties among the Sinhalese, and it will be among the dictators. All along the economic pie gets smaller and smaller, and the fight gets bigger and bigger. Here below, I have given a statement by Pastor Martin Niemöller, who has summarized it in 4 verses. First, this is about the Nazis in Germany. First they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. The fear among people is that this nation is going to break out into a fully blown tribal and group war. The current leadership does not seem to have the intellect and the know-how as to how to guide this country out of its dungeon and doldrums. The internal strife has already burdened the nation's economic immune system, and the debt owed to foreign nations are now swapped for equity. What does it mean when you swap debt for equity? Simply put, when I owe money, and if I have no money to pay the debt, I had to surrender my property. Money is the debt, property is the equity. Simple. We all know that. It is that continued destruction of national wealth and the purchase of weapons and the ballooning military has exhausted the nation of its economic stamina. One will never prosper or profit by destroying or disparaging one's family, friends, partners, and fellow citizens. What happened in Sri Lanka was in the name of race and religion, the state unleashed a poisonous and destructive policy on one sector of the people. That happened to be the Tamils. It went on for 50, 60 years. Tamils are not easy people to defeat. That's why it took 60 years. The Tamils left the country now. Who is next? It will be interesting to see from outside in. I think every Tamil who has so far not affected by the ethnic cleansing program of the genocidal regime of Sri Lanka can learn a thing or two from the above quotation by Martin Muller. And I personally learned that as I focus more and more on the well-being of my community and the world community at large, my life is getting better and better every day. Thence, if we all become public servants without any anticipated remuneration, our lives will get better. So then, what is holding us behind from our participation to uphold the universal laws of good and bad and right and wrong? What is stopping us from rising up against monstrosity? The atrocities going on in Sri Lanka to Tamils are not specific to Tamils. Tamils are mere incidental to the whole affair. And they were the wrong people at the wrong time and wrong place. It can happen anytime, anywhere, to anyone. It happened in several nations. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the world to stand up and stamp out the menace that has infected the Sinhalese people and have become a pestilence and an epidemic. People can call me an ultra-racist, that's fine. But I have not killed any human being, and I have not killed any other living thing knowingly or accidentally. Maybe I have killed accidentally. Almost 3 years have passed since the mass-scale genocide and Holocaust of the innocent Tamils in Sri Lanka. We spoke to several Jewish friends, and they kept on reiterating that it is our task, our primary task, to keep up the campaign. It's easy and does not cost you any money. We are only asking for your time, energy and effort to stamp out bad behavior. All Tamils in their small and large ways must actively participate in bringing about justice in Sri Lanka. While campaigning among the world of nations, we Tamils have to honestly, sincerely and with dedication and absolute focus demonstrate our faith in our own freedom. If we do not sincerely believe in our own contribution towards our liberation, we cannot expect others to come to our rescue. We have to set the example. Presidents, mayors, and energy. We had to discard the inferior, insecure, and second-class mentality and insist on our right as citizens of the world. Firstly, we have to get rid of our selfish mentality and become worldly citizens, taking responsibility for and of the greater world. We will never be free within our own enclave. We had to participate and demand our portion of the world. The way we are, we don't know what freedom is. and we are not at all worried or bothered about it. Why 40,000 Tamil people were killed in Sri Lanka? Because none of them stood up and asked, why are you suffering us? Instead, we kept on backing off. Our freedom is already here on the gold platter. But we do not have the courage to take it. Take it today. I have taken mine. Have you taken yours? We are asking our Tamils, are you sincere about your commitment to your freedom? Do you know what freedom is? After having lived under foreign and Sinhalese domination and majority rule for almost 500 years, you have lost that concept of freedom. We see that every day in our own people, living as subservient, subjugated, submissive, and subordinated people. It has to change. There are several things to do, and we all must get together and do it individually and as groups. Everyone has to prevail, and everyone has to contribute, and everyone has to be recognized as capable contributors. Most of the Tamils born in Sri Lanka, either under British rule or the ignorant rule of the Sinhalese majority, freedom are mere peace and existence. They think freedom is mere peace and existence. They merely existed to survive. It was a subservient subsistence, not exuberant existence. It was a subservient subsistence, not exuberant existence. But now, we are in the free world, all over the world, where to improve and increase your creativity, the government encourages you to exercise your right to freedom. These are enshrined in the Constitution and are called the Bill of Rights or the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These things simply mean that you must fight for your right when it is violated. At the same time, we have to keep the insecure and the inferior forces at bay so that they do not interfere with your freedom. The Sinhalese in Sri Lanka are mere weak, insecure, inefficient, and ineffective people. But they have the masses and the mass behind them. We have to defeat them. In a civil society, you do not defeat the enemy by hard means. We use soft means and mechanisms. One of them is sanctions. I have listed below a number of sanctions that we can employ and enforce. Please do it today and every day. There are about 30 of them, so let me read them one by one. Monetary sanctions, political sanctions, psychological sanctions, travel sanctions, tourism sanctions, regulatory sanctions, import-export sanctions, capital market sanctions, distribution sanctions, trade embargo, workplace awareness, community events and propaganda, billboard displays, boycott of Sri Lankan products, public burning and destruction of Sri Lankan goods sold in Western countries, calling for international boycott of Sri Lankan products, public speeches and condemnations, mass-scale flooding of the media, social media propaganda, exclusion, suspension, expulsion, etc., diplomatic sanctions, sports sanctions, cultural sanction, trade sanctions, military sanctions, individual sanctions, punitive sanctions, investment sanctions, medical sanctions, criminality sanctions, technology transfer sanctions, intellectual property sanctions, blacklisting of traders who sell Sri Lankan goods, buyer's embargo, bumper stickers, mass-scale mail campaign, flogging and flooding with messages via mail and media. These are few of the systems that you can use. These are few of the things that you can do. Choose the one that is appropriate for your intellect and your use and use it. You can do your own. You can do your own YouTube or a Facebook campaign. It's easy. All you need is a webcam and a software costs about $50. 3 people can share it. That's $17 per head. If you don't have $17 in the Western countries, I don't know what to do. Napoleon said, an army travels on its stomach. Starvation is the best way to weaken an intransigent and belligerent enemy. Sinhalese are not our enemy, but Tamils are Sinhalese enemy. That is how they were indoctrinated into. By putting their government under economic, financial, political and other forms of pressure and sanctions, we can make them to realize their erroneous beliefs. The regime that does not recognize the right to life, human rights and freedom are ignorant and hence are tyrannical, and they harass and unnecessarily unduly punish people for their same composition. In the modern world, an abundant wealth and prosperity, there is room for 7 billion people to live comfortably. And more new ideas of how to improve and increase creativity are made every day. Then why should there be social and racial strife in the world? It is due to our sheer ignorance and incapabilities. Sri Lanka has been on this destructive path of racism, fanaticism, narcissism, and recently into state terrorism and narcotism. These are dangerous trends and directions. And whatever plea for change of heart has not made its way into their minds. So sanctions, embargo, boycott are the way to bring sense and semblance into their minds. How can the Tamils help themselves? The most important thing they can do is to stop buying Sri Lankan made goods and services. And number 2, stop sending more than required hard currency to Sri Lanka. I know it helps our people in one way and hurts us in multiplied ways. Helps in one way, hurts us in multiplied ways. But we can do whatever we can do. Secondly, one must reduce the amount of travel to Sri Lanka, especially by Sri Lankan airlines. We must stop importing goods that are made in Sri Lanka, except made in our traditional Tamil areas. Exporting to Sri Lanka items that will help them directly must be avoided or reduced. When you send hard currencies, you are basically exporting high value items to them, which can be used against Tamil. Civilization is not a status quo. It's an ever-evolving and ever-growing and progressing hope in progress. It is that hope that keeps us living. Life is hope in progress. Never surrender your hope to despair or to a destructive enemy. Take your freedom and never ever give it away. That's all, folks, for this week. Until next week, 70 million Tamils worldwide. Unite, stay together, work hard, and never ever give up. The best is yet to come, and we are winning. My name is Subramaniam Masalamani, a world-class Tamil powered by convictions, commitments, and conscience.